Take 3 Wrestling Podcast. It is January 16th. This should be the Takeys, but it's not. Because Notre Dame's playing a national title game, and
my bad.
Me thinking Joe's going to get me a list before the day of at 9:57 would be stupid on my part.
You know what? I'll take a lot of the hit. I'll take a lot of the hit on this one. I'll be honest. I've had a very one-track mind for the last couple of weeks here.
In my defense, yeah, it's all Jim's fault.
Yeah, no, I'll take it.
Because you expected one from him. So like when you didn't say anything, and then you were like, "Hey, is anyone gonna send a list?" And then Jim was like, "Oops." I was like, "Cool, I'm in the clear," because he didn't really expect one from me. That was for Jim.
I mean, I was hoping for one from you because I don't know how I'm supposed to live score things, but math.
Right, but like had I sent one and then like I would have been like, "Hey Mike, I sent my list."
It could have been a reminder to Joe.
Right, like at that point Joe would have been like, "Oh crap, I actually have to do work this week for the podcast."
Yep. Like I actually at one point did think to myself, "Oh, I got to put that together," and then it just
like I remembered like sending it, and then, but I think you sent it.
I sent it Friday afternoon. You guys played Friday night.
We played Thursday nights. Did you send?
Okay, so I sent it Thursday afternoon because I was off.
Yeah,
because I'm off Thursdays. Thursdays are my last day off before the start of my work week.
Yep.
So I sent it Thursday afternoon when I woke up after I took Jackson to school, and then lo and behold, you guys played Thursday night. The Ohio State-Texas game was obviously Friday. Playoffs Saturday, Sunday for the NFL.
Monday night as well. I had therapy on Monday.
Well, Monday was also the last playoff game, so we had another playoff game that we had to...
playoff game, Monday Night Raw. Tuesday was Huddle Up. Wednesday, we were show prepping.
Mm-hmm.
It was like late, and I'm like, oh shit, we never talked topics.
Yep, you sent a text.
Which there was no reason for you to send a topic because in your mind, we're doing the Takeys.
Yeah.
And when I asked about topics, Mike went, "Well, I guess we're not doing the Takeys this week."
I thought for a second you were gonna blame. You were gonna be like Wednesday night. Well, there was Dynamite, and then I was gonna be like bullshit. No, nobody watches Dynamite.
I watched all of Dynamite actually.
I haven't gotten to watch it yet. I was at work, but I do plan on watching it on Max, the one to watch.
There it is.
There it is. Timestamp 3 minutes 19 seconds.
For anyone who listens to our show, because you also listen to 3CT, I would like to apologize for this week's 3 Count Thursday. Last week, Mark was supposed to be there on Wednesday. He did not show up. So his punishment was he had to host the show. And I can honestly tell you that you may have heard it on the show, but my insides were screaming for the entire hour we were on the air, because it is very unfamiliar for me to be there and to not be in charge. There's been a couple of weeks where like I've been like a little under the weather, so Tim's taken more of like the active hosting duty. But I will still open and close the show. That didn't happen.
What you're saying is at 3CT, there's a new boy in the neighborhood and he lives downstairs, but it's understood that he's there just to take good care of me.
No. Get it
ready. Like he's one of the family.
Get it ready right now.
Mark in charge of our days and our...
Once again, the views and comments made by Joe do not reflect Mike, Jim, or Take Three. Just so everybody,
so good,
so everybody knows. But yeah, so if any, I apologize for anyone who, if you made it through the episode.
I did. I actually commented throughout the whole thing.
Did. Congratulations to all who made it through that episode.
Okay, before we start our actual topics, do you have the Royal Rumble blind ranking? Because I kind of want to see what Joe.
I do. Let me.
I kind of want to see how Joe would rank these.
Yeah, let me.
Because I did it on the show with you guys, obviously. But he's a graphics guy. He likes logos and things like that. So it's kind of why I was like, okay, maybe we can get Joe's.
The word is gay, Mike. You can just say it. I'm gay. It's fine.
Well, no, it's Royal Rumble, the logos.
Yes, I did five random Royal Rumble logos.
Okay.
You blind rank them. So when I show you one, you'll put it somewhere between 1 and 5.
Okay.
1 being the best, 5 being the worst.
Yes, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. Here we go. We'll start with this one.
Oh, that's a classic. That's a wait. 1 is the best.
Yes. 1 is the best.
That's a 1. That's a 1 for me.
Joe's
okay, so I had that at 2.
Okay.
Next one.
Royal Rumble tramp stamp, as Matt so elegantly put.
Yeah, Royal Rumble Godsmack, apparently.
It looks a little bit too much like a vagina for my liking. That's a 5.
That's fair.
I think I had that one at 3.
Yeah, I think everybody had that. I think everybody had that at 4.
It's too vulvic.
I had that at 4. Definitely had that at 4.
That was a tag team in the 80s in WWE. The Volvic.
The Volcanics.
All right, here's the next one.
You know, she's almost cool, but then it's like, what you doing with that M girl? That's probably like, that might be number 4 or 3. I got to see the others.
Well, no, it's blind ranking. You
okay.
Set it now.
We're going to put that at 3.
See, I put that one at 5 because we were like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, the 3CT guys.
She's being cute.
All right, next one.
It's giving In Your House. Like, why aren't I just watching In Your House? That's number 2.
I had that one at number 1 because I had the first one at number 2.
So yeah, we flip-flopped.
And then last one is this.
Ew. God.
Number 3.
I guess that's my 4 because that's my last
number 4.
left.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's ugly.
There we go.
See, okay, but hold on. While you have that up there, I actually don't hate that as much as I've hated other ones.
Yeah, I like this one more than like just the plain Jane. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
Because I like the blue because it's Indianapolis, it's Colts colors.
That makes sense.
I like the Indianapolis skyline kind of in the word. They even went so as far as making the line under the WWE logo blue.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
Like little pieces of it make it manageable for me. Like I've been known to be like, wow, that's a shit ass fucking logo. Fuck that. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
So now this is probably going to go over the whole screen because I didn't have a chance to format it. But this is what they've done the last couple of years.
Yeah, I hate that.
Where it's just
I actually don't mind that one.
Like I like. Maybe it's just because like the blue is just like a little bit softer, and I actually like the Indianapolis skyline in the logos. Like this is just, it's almost too plain for me. Like if you're gonna just do the words and just go back to this.
Yeah.
Like the original one is just so perfect.
I mean, it really feels like that's the. I want to create a show on WWE 2K25. But I don't know what logo, like what script I want to use. So fuck it. This is how this.
Give me a red line and Arial font. Like, yeah, okay.
I feel like we need to play this game again next week, but with Royal Rumble posters.
Oh, I could probably.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably do it for almost anything. I think we should try to do a random.
Yeah, I like blind ranks.
Maybe to start the show or to end the show, and
I like it.
All right, before we get into the topics, currently through the 2 weeks of the fantasy wrestling draft that we had, Jim has taken the lead. He is now at 25 points thanks to a big week from Lyra Valkyria, who scored 9 points. I can't
say her name.
Bacteria. She scored 9 points. John Moxley scored 4 as he retained the AEW title last night on Dynamite. Yeah, sorry, Joe. Spoiler alert. Yeah. I had a bad week. I got -1 points from all of Cody Rhodes, Christian, and Julia Hart. They all lost matchups. Joe got 2 from Sheamus, 2 from Penta. That was his week. So I'm gonna probably do this now, and I'm gonna do this solely for what's gonna take place later this week. I'm gonna make the first roster move.
Yo, here we go.
I am going to drop Orange Cassidy from my roster. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if it's an injury or something, but he is not in the forecast right now for what seems like is going on inside All Elite Wrestling. So I'm going to remove Orange Cassidy from my roster. I'm going to add a guy who I think is going to retain his title, hopefully, at TNA's pay-per-view this coming up weekend. Give me the current X Division champion. Give me Moose.
At some point, Mike texts me my roster. I gotta remember to like write it down and keep it here in the studio.
I'll send it to you guys after the show.
I'm not gonna make any changes yet, but there could certainly be some coming.
So rapid fire real quick for those of you at home. My roster is Cody, Cena, Stratton, Christian, Julia Hart, Will Ospreay, Obafemi, Masha Slamovich, Konosuke Takeshita, and now Moose. Jim is Gunther, CM Punk, Julia, John Moxley, Mariah May, Bobby Lashley, Lyra Valkyria, Nick Nemeth, Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch. Joe is Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, Jey Uso, Kenny Omega, Swerve, Kazuchika Okada, Joe Hendry, Nick Gage, Sheamus, and Penta.
Yeah, I can definitely see where some pitfalls in creating a draft, my roster.
I got the Rumble winner. I don't know about you guys, but I got the Rumble winner. I'm sorry.
Joe Hendry?
Dude, could you fucking imagine?
A little bit more respect for your tribal chief. Thank you very much.
If you think that The Rock's going to let him win the Royal Rumble, you've lost your ever-loving fucking mind.
Dude, the Rock ain't going to be anywhere near WWE for the next, 18 months.
I can't wait for you to be so wrong so that I can sit
He's
here and be
filming
like,
Fast and Furious 17. He's going to be in the next one. That's for real.
I live my life however the fuck I want. I'm Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I don't live at a quarter mile at a time. Fuck you.
I'm telling you, Roman's winning the Rumble.
For my own mental fucking capacity, I hope you're wrong.
Is cooking.
We're just gonna fucking hear it. Joe's gonna panic.
Where's he at? And then he doesn't even come out, and Solo just flips the Roman out of the fucking ring.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be there. He just has to get the job done.
What? So yeah, that's the fantasy league right now. Sorry. Let's see what else was there before we start our topics. I don't think we have anything else really to rip into. So I think we're ready to launch topic number 1. Who wants to start this bad boy?
Do we want to hit the biggest news of the
day? I feel like mine. I think mine should be the lead, but I didn't want to just overstep because this is a big one. It was announced earlier today. I was actually just kind of sitting around, opened up the old Twitter, and got a notification of that WWE and TNA have agreed to a multi-year partnership. According to PW Insider, WWE issued the following statement that NXT superstars and TNA wrestlers are to appear across weekly WWE and TNA programming, WWE Premium Live Event, and TNA pay-per-views. WWE, part of the TKO Group holding, and TNA Wrestling, one of the world's top wrestling brands and subsidiary of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, today announced a multi-year partnership aimed at creating unprecedented crossover opportunities within the WWE and TNA programming for NXT superstars and TNA wrestlers. The agreement will enable talent to garner additional exposure across key WWE and TNA programming, including weekly flagship shows such as NXT, which airs on the CW, Impact, the TNA show, select WWE Premium Live events, and the TNA pay-per-views, in turn bolstering their in-ring development with exposure to world-class talent and coaching. We've seen it happen at points already. Joe Hendry was part of the NXT roster for probably 3 months last year. Jordan Grace has made a couple of different appearances, between a Royal Rumble appearance as well as being down in NXT. being involved in a NXT title match against Roxanne Perez. I don't see how this is a negative for anybody involved. And I know opening up the artist formerly known as Twitter, which is a pretty diabolical place to be in. So note to self, try to stay off of it as much as you can. There were some people that were like, I don't get
only
this.
use it for porn.
I'm not surprised.
Good to know.
The spreading and the watching.
Yeah, we needed that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah. Yeah, we needed that one. Obviously, there have already been some NXT wrestlers who have gone over. They had the short reunion of the Rascals with Wesley, Zachary Wentz, and Trey Miguel. Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch crew went over there. Riley Osborne, Dante Chen, the Gallus Boys, Ariana Grace, Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dane, Wendy Chu, Brinley Reese, and a few others have gone over there already. I don't know, and the Twitter sphere was like, I don't know why TNA would do this. I don't know why TNA wouldn't do this. I don't know why people just magically seem to believe that TNA is going to just put all the titles on NXT competitors and forget the people that they have that help build where they're at right now. I think that TNA and WWE have almost had a silent partnership for quite a while now.
Yeah.
It just puts it in writing. It just shows that TNA and WWE are working together. It lets people know that they have each other's backs in some situations. And to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if this feels a little ECW-ish. Like, hey, maybe here's a couple $100,000 to sign a person here or there to leave on the TNA roster that we may want. Looking at you, Josh Alexander. Looking at you, Jordan Grace. So, like, I don't know. I feel like this is a good thing for both parties. The NXT superstars getting to work with people like Nick Nemeth and Frankie Kazarian and Steve Macklin, Josh Alexander. Like, that's big for a lot of development for some of these rookies. And, some of those big name guys, Nemeth, and like I said, Nemeth, you could bring over Josh Alexander, who obviously is a free agent at the end of this month, I believe. You could bring these pieces over and let them have matches against Obafemi, Trick Williams. We could get a Ethan Page and Josh Alexander coming back together to be the North and maybe beating Fraxium, for the tag titles. There are things that I'm so excited for in this situation. I wouldn't be surprised to see a TNA roster member win a NXT title at some point and vice versa. I'm excited for this. I think it's a big step in the right direction for professional wrestling. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be must-watch television. Because who's like, oh, look, Julia, the TNA or the NXT Women's Champion, is going to defend the title against Tessa Blanchard, someone who
WWE is probably not going to sign.
No, probably not. But, I mean, you're going to have Tessa Blanchard fight for your title. I mean, probably not the most positive person in the world to fight for your title, but you'll get eyes on the product.
Sure.
You're going to send Sol Ruka over there and she's going to win the Knockouts title one night. Like, cool. Hold it for a week and lose it back to Masha the next night on pay-per-view or something. Like,
yeah, I think eventually you will see wrestlers from each company end up winning titles from the other one.
I can't wait to watch Moose win the North American title from Tony Gabagoo.
Right? Like, and it's like, it's a good thing that is going to happen, because I think when we look back at like what was, and I'm not going to make this a crap on AEW segment. I'm not gonna
I think we should.
Well, I don't want to, because I think
know. I don't either. I'm just being smart.
It's more about like what's good about this partnership. But I think it's fair to say, when you look back on the AEW TNA partnership, like, yes, they sent Kenny Omega over to a TNA pay-per-view, but like there was never a chance that he was losing on a TNA pay-per-view and losing the AEW title. Like, you knew that going in. Like, Kenny Omega was always going to be the victor in those spots.
And then you gave him the TNA heavyweight title on top of it.
Right. And I think he only forfeited because he got sick.
No. He lost that title clean to Christian on the first episode of
That's
Collision.
Right.
And then Christian lost it, but it took a chair shot. It took a unprettier on a chair. It took 8,000 things for it to unfold that way.
Right.
But he lost the title to Christian. I think it was the first episode of Collision.
Yep, that's right.
Or it was a special or something. He lost it to Christian on one of the shows. I don't remember which one it was. That's on me.
Yeah, like the unfortunate thing is you look back at that partnership and you go, man, this was not good for one brand. So already, like, I think one of the important takeaways is WWE in the early goings, before there's anything official, made sure that TNA wasn't going to look like kind of a joke on WWE programming or vice versa. Like, it was never going to be WWE comes into TNA and cleans house.
Even worse, Christian Cage defeated Kenny Omega on the August 13th premiere edition of Rampage.
Oh boy. The show that's dead now.
That just sucks out loud.
Yeah, that makes it even worse. But yeah, so I think you're going to see superstars win titles in the other brand, and you're going to see some surprise victories and stuff like that. And like my hope is, because I know like it does specifically say NXT superstars and TNA wrestling stars, but like it is my hope that like some of like the guys and gals that are in the W or in TNA that have been WWE stars in the past will get an opportunity to show up on an episode of Raw or SmackDown or on a, Backlash or No Mercy or something like that. Like, give me Gail Kim versus Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, like, give me Masha Slamovich versus Liv Morgan or something, like.
Right, but also some of these guys who are in WWE that spent a good portion of their careers.
AJ Styles.
Boom. Give me AJ Styles in the fucking Impact Zone. Like, oh man.
Honestly, right now, the current TNA World Tag Team Champions are Matt and Jeff Hardy.
Yo!
Give me Matt and Jeff Hardy versus Jimmy and Jey Uso.
And you know what's great about that? It's perfect because, like, WWE doesn't need the Hardy Boys on a full-time basis.
Nope.
But
Absolutely.
You give me the Hardy Boys for one pay-per-view against the Usos or against, the Tongas or any other team,
Triple
pretty
threat
much,
match.
and like I'm here for it.
I mean, let's not forget who did WWE just sign? TNA future Hall of Famers, the Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Yeah,
you can use them. You could bring over Eddie Edwards and do something with the system.
He
DIY.
works for WWE, but he works backstage. But like
the guy who's the now head broadcaster of Legends, Future, and whatever that I saw, Jeremy Borash.
Yes,
that's not even who I was thinking. But you're right, he's there too. You know who I was thinking?
Abyss.
I was thinking Abyss.
Shit. And also here's another thing as we're just kind of talking through that. Another reason this partnership makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you have the Motor City Machine Guns. Guess what TNA owns? Their fucking video library.
Yeah.
Now you can incorporate that content on video montages with Motor City Machine Guns. Hey, AJ Styles has pretty much stated publicly that like his career is on the downslope. Like it is very much near the end. He's still dealing with an injury. And guess what? As you start to prepare, like, I don't know, a Hall of Fame montage for AJ Styles, guess what? You get to use a ton of content when AJ Styles was the NWA fucking champion
Yep.
in TNA. Like, this makes sense on multiple levels because of it as well.
Could you imagine, and stay with me here? I know he's been hurt. I know he's been a advisor. Bobby Roode goes back for one night only to TNA, where he was a champion for 300 plus days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I was thinking about this earlier today. TNA at this point, you might have to credit them for being the scrappiest wrestling company that has ever existed. Because come hook or come crook, TNA gonna find a way to survive. And TNA, once they find their way to survive, they're then gonna find a way to thrive. And I feel like we've witnessed this happen multiple times at this point. I feel like we saw it, there was a time when they were the first ones to team up with New Japan in the last 20 years, other than WCW, in the post WCW wrestling world. TNA was the first ones to team up with New Japan and had their TNA stars on a Wrestle Kingdom, and Kurt Angle was there, and the Dudleys were there, and it was a whole big deal. And then eventually TNA was the company that went ahead and, was dealing with AEW, and they were the first ones to break that forbidden door and make that a reality. And now here they are, and it's like those were the pre-matches, and this is the main event. You know what I mean? Like, they finally have the WWE in their corner. And I mean, honestly, look, this is a company that since about 2007, people were like, LOL, they're going to go out of business. I've been watching TNA since the pay-per-view days on Wednesday nights. I've followed them long enough to remember LOL TNA, to remember everyone being like, this company's got 2 years tops, to remember, them pulling their talent from Ring of Honor and all that happened. And then them going through ownership differences. I've seen the company live when it was Dixie Carter at the Hammerstein Ballroom and Bubba Ray put her through a table. I've seen the company at baseball stadiums with Sting and all that. Look, at the end of the day, Sting had a longer run in TNA than he did in any other wrestling company he ever worked in. That's crazy. If you look at it, it's existed longer than WCW ever did. It's existed longer than ECW ever did. It probably existed longer than most of the companies from the territory days. There's no doubting at this point that TNA has a very real place in the history of pro wrestling. And it's kind of nice to see them make a deal that guarantees they're going to stick to that place in history. Whether this puts more eyes on the product, this puts more eyes on the history of the product, but also, too, they ain't going anywhere if they're working with WWE and getting some kind of financial compensation from that. They're going to be around for a very long time to come. So, I mean, bravo, TNA. Like you said, I'm excited for it, too, because it feels very realistic that it's going to be even since they're doing it specifically with NXT. So, I'm a fan.
So I go ahead.
So I brought up the current, or the world championship reigns, just the world champions in Impact Wrestling. I'm just gonna reel off names that currently are employed in WWE. I get it; they're on rosters or inactive, but I just want you to listen to this list and think, if they send any of these guys to Impact Wrestling for any show, even if it's Bound for Glory, Slammiversary, whatever. Okay, the newly debuted Pentagon. He was champion for 2 days.
Forgot that he was there. That's right.
Also, Drew Galloway, now Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Current SmackDown general manager Magnus.
Oh shit. Yep.
I don't know about you guys, but he got his break in TNA, and now he's become LA Knight. He was Eli Drake.
Good point.
Obviously AJ Styles.
Dummy.
Yeah. Obviously. Alex Shelley, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode. Those guys that we've mentioned so far. So far, Eric Young, who was a member of Sanity at one point, back in TNA now, but a guy who you could bring over for a one-off run with the Wyatt Six. I mean, I don't expect you to see like Alberto El Patron on a WWE show anytime soon because that guy's dead.
Dummy.
Yeah. So I think like
You think we see Dolph Ziggler on a WWE show?
you could see him in the Rumble.
I think we see Nick Nemeth on
You
the
think they call
WWE.
him that, or you think they go back to calling him Dolph Ziggler?
No, they will give him enough respect to call him Nick Nemeth.
Yeah, he'd be
Okay.
Nick Nemeth on that.
Because he is TNA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Nemeth.
Now they may touch on formerly known as Dolph Ziggler.
Like I wouldn't be surprised
That
if
would be
like,
cool.
he's in the Rumble and like you hear the start of his music and it cuts to his new music in TNA where he's kind of like, yeah, I used to be Dolph Ziggler, but now I'm Nick fucking Nemeth.
Yeah. Because like I mean even this week like on Raw when Penta debuted they talked about his time in like TNA and stuff. So
Mhm.
It was kind of interesting too because they only talked about TNA. They talked about everything but AEW. Like they brought up Lucha Underground, they brought up TNA, they brought up Mexico.
I mean, there's no danger, and not that there's any danger in talking about AEW, but there's no danger in talking about Lucha Underground. There's no danger in talking about other companies around the world. You don't talk about the company that you don't want to talk about.
That could also go book the same building that you are, the same region that you are, the same week that you are. Yeah, I wouldn't talk about them either because what are you going to say? You're just going to talk negative. Oh, hey, by the way,
I mean,
they kept
to be
Pentagon
fair-
there for 6 months longer than he wanted to be because they pulled the Vince McMahon on him.
To be fair, if AEW booked the same building as WWE, they'd fill it with tens of people.
I mean, they could book like the loading dock of that building.
Tens of dozens.
So I saw an interesting. It was a Dave LaGreca from Busted Open had posted a video commenting on this deal, and then Bully Ray quote retweeted and said, "With AEW dealing with some struggles as every company has and does this announcement position TNA to take over the number 2 spot?"
You want me to be honest with you?
Go ahead.
No, it should, but it won't.
I agree with you. For the record,
it should, but it won't. Because there will be too many people that will die on the hill of, and I have no problem with this, mind you, because I love Kenny Omega, I love Will Ospreay, I love Takeshita, I love watching those guys perform. Great professional wrestlers doing great things inside the ring. Unfortunately, there are no storylines for those gentlemen. It's just matches. And I think given TNA getting some help and some bolstering to their in-ring performance with the NXT guys and things like that, and the access to, Matt Bloom and to Sarah Del Rey and to Shawn Michaels, I think can only help the wrestlers that they have there. And I feel like it should boost them up because they do tell good storylines on that show. But unfortunately for them, they don't have Kenny Omega. They don't have the Young Bucks. They don't have that indie wrestling, the last true indie wrestling era fan driving that bus.
So here's another thing they don't currently have is a real TV deal.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I think if there's something that's making them not be able to do number 2, it's the fact that they're not on regular like TNT and TBS and easy to find. Mac's the one to watch,
Oh, so here's the deal. If this WWE partnership, because if you're going to start seeing TNA stars on the CW and on WWE pay-per-views and possibly on Monday Night Raw and premium live events, things like that, if TNA superstars start to become more household names and they can get a US TV deal out of this, because I know they do have a TV deal, like I think in Canada.
Correct, they do.
So, but if they can parlay this into some sort of a TV deal, I think then and only then do you start to actually have the conversation of can this turn into TNA being the number 2? But only then. Because again, AEW, we talked about this recently, just signed a huge media rights deal to stay on TNT, to stay on TBS, and to start streaming on Max the One to Watch. Thank you, Joe. And they're going to start doing their pay-per-views there. So like I think if you want to have a serious, because we can talk about the buildings that they're booking in and booking issues and blah 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 blah. TNA's booking in 25-seater fucking amphitheaters. You know what I mean? Like they're not exactly selling out huge arenas every week for TV. Like they'll do pay-per-view spots in some 2,000-3,000 seater arenas, but they're not doing large venues for TV. So like, yeah, I understand what Bully's saying. Like having the WWE machine behind you is a good thing.
Correct.
But it doesn't automatically mean you're number 2. Like was ECW bigger than WCW in the mid 90s because they had a little back alley handshake agreement with WWE? No. And this doesn't mean TNA is not number 2. Now it certainly does, provide them a bit more stability.
I think it shortens the gap.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like I said, if you can get a TV deal, if you can actually, start getting your product into more homes in the US, then you can start to have that conversation. If you can get your pay-per-views, maybe they can parlay this into their events being on Peacock.
I was just going to say, if they put a TNA show on Peacock, would you potentially try to find a way to watch it? I know time's a little rough for all of us, but like,
oh, absolutely. If it is on Peacock and like, especially, after Monday when the college football season's over and we're 2 weeks away from the, a couple weeks away from the NFL season being done, like a Saturday night in February, like I'm not doing anything on a Saturday night in February. Sure, I'll watch it, especially when I have Peacock for free. Like I don't have to pay for this. Ryan, I can guarantee you Ryan will come over or I'll go to Ryan's and we'll watch the TNA show if we're both not doing anything. Sure, it's free wrestling.
Yeah, I just know that, scheduling, obviously, like if they got themselves even on a smaller platform, obviously I don't think Netflix is in the equation. I don't think anything like that's in the equation. But like, even if they became like a exclusive to like Hulu,
yeah,
or to what's another streaming service that, like, obviously they're not going to be on Max the One to Watch because AEW is already on Max the One to Watch,
right?
Obviously not going to be on Netflix. Don't think they're big enough to be on Netflix.
No, but I think if WWE goes, hey, NBC Universal, we just partnered with this other wrestling company. Do you want to like can their events be? Can we work a deal with them to get them on the Peacock platform? Sure. We used to do indie shows on there.
I would say that if they still had WWE Network, that would be a perfect place to put them. But rip.
Well, you know what's interesting though? I'm sorry if there's an echo. I'm outside.
Oh, for the WWE Network.
Pour one out.
Leave the memories alone. Tell me a lie. The interesting thing though is you have to also think they're gonna get some really great national advertising by being on the CW network on those episodes of NXT. So they can use that platform to, sell the TNA streaming service, the $9.99 a month, whatever that is.
If you're TKO, why don't you pick up the phone and call?
Buy it?
No, call Bezos, Amazon Prime, Apple TV.
Yeah.
I mean,
to be fair,
it's more accessible than.
About as many people watch Apple TV as watch whatever channel they're on now.
They're not on anything right now. They're just on their streaming platform.
They're not on Access anymore?
I don't think they've been on Access in years.
I swear that press release today on the PW Insider website mentioned Access.
Let me look.
I think they're on like Access Plus or something. Like Genesis is on Access.
Oh, Access TV TNA Plus in the United States, in addition to being on TNA Plus and Sportsnet 360 across Canada.
Okay, and also like the Genesis, which is this weekend, is on Triller for $40. Get me on Peacock for free, dude. Like,
Even if I have to pay $10 for it.
yeah, I don't see, like, I don't know how that. I guess there's probably a way. I just don't think there's anything on Peacock that's like a premium event where you actually have to pay extra.
No, I don't think they've set that up for that yet. I'm sure they they find a way if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Just like Netflix, like there's no order. You know, it wasn't like order the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight separate for $50.
Right.
God, there really is nothing on this fucking. I'm literally on their website right now looking at their TV schedule. So tonight, obviously the Impact, then they replayed it at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow, coming out of Impact, we have let's see, that's 2 hours of Hell's Kitchen, an hour of Hot Ones, 30 minutes of Just for Laugh and Gags, the big interview with Dan Gaither, 4 more episodes of Laugh and Gags, 3 more episodes of Hell's Kitchen. At 2 o'clock, we have the top 10 200 greatest songs of the 70s.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
At 5 o'clock,
I hope
we have
you
an
can order
episode-
that as a Time Life CD.
At 5 o'clock, we have an episode of Nashville. At 6 o'clock, we have the top 10 revealed for 2 hours. Then a random Access TV movie, Rock Legends at 10:30, and then Hell's Kitchen at 11. Yeah, get the fuck off of that network now.
Thing sucks.
It sucks out loud.
What season of Hell's Kitchen?
It does not give me a timestamp or series.
Ooh.
So, yeah, no, I just, yeah, this sucks out loud.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of not good, man.
Not great, Bob.
Can't wait to watch it from 11 to 12, where we watch Rock and Roll Road Trips with Sammy Hagar. Pass.
Hard fucking
I
pass.
didn't even know he was still alive.
Don't worry, that was probably taped in like fucking 2000.
No, he's still alive, ironically, but I think he's still alive.
Ironically.
He's fighting a losing battle, Jim.
Well, you know, it happens to the best of us. By the way, I was just on the WWE shop, and they have a new NXT shirt. Hold on, I'm gonna get a load.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
This made me want to actually have to buy. This is pretty good.
Yeah, I think I'd rock that.
It's the NXF&T.
I'd rock that.
That's real good. That's real good. I like that.
Now I gotta go on the website and see if there's anything else that I like.
The new Penta shirts came out. I like the one with just like his face with the
Yeah, I like the Penta stuff.
yeah.
The black shirt or the white shirt?
The black. I don't like the white shirt. I think
The mask is weird.
well, I feel like the mask blends in with the color of the shirt.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. It's weird.
Yeah, like I think if they made that one in like red,
Yeah,
like,
that'd be
like
pretty
you didn't
fire.
want to do like a second white or like a second black shirt. If you do that on red, I think the white mask pops off. But,
Mhm.
but yeah, but yeah, I think this is a great deal. I think this is a great deal for both sides. It's going to give NXT and TNA stars more people to work with, more play, like another place or two to work, more pay-per-view possibilities to work on. Like there's really nothing bad about this.
Did you get the Canadian Dream t-shirt yet?
I didn't.
It's such a good shirt.
It's so good. I just like I feel like I haven't I'm waiting. I haven't spent money on like sports merchandise.
Oh yeah, you got to wait till after Monday.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Monday because I have told myself that if they don't win, like I will probably still get like either a Sugar Bowl or
I'd get the Orange
shirt.
Bowl championship shirt.
Probably
It
because
got
they
you to the
beat Penn
finals.
State. Well,
That
because they
too.
beat Penn State.
That too.
So yeah, I would do that. And I usually don't do those sort of things, but it's been so long since Notre Dame's won a game of that size.
Mhm.
It's like when the Orioles won the division last year. I bought the division shirt. I never do that. I never buy like division champion shirts or like playoff shirts or whatever, because it's like if they win, I'm just gonna have to replace them in a week.
Yeah.
If they lose, I don't want to be reminded of this. But like the Orioles division champion stuff, I'm not ashamed by that. Like if Notre Dame does lose on Monday, I'm not going to be ashamed that they got there. Like nobody saw this coming, and this is kind of the beginning of hopefully something special over the next couple of years. So yeah, I'm not going to be ashamed by it. But
yeah, I've never purchased, and I'll use the Red Sox as the example here. I've never purchased an American League Championship T-shirt, like, because I tell myself the end goal is to win the World Series, and if they don't win the World Series, like, I'm out. Like, I'm gonna be more pissed off that I have a shirt that says that we got there and then didn't win it. So it's like I'll buy division championship stuff because I can wear that around and still go, okay, we won our division. Same with the Bengals, like we won our division. I to this day did not purchase an AFC Championship T-shirt because even losing the Super Bowl, because I told myself if I wear that shirt or if I look at that shirt, I'm gonna look up and go, that game fell through our hands. Like I'm gonna be more pissed off the more I see it. So it's like wear the division championship shirt, wear it proud, be done with it, and just be like, we accomplished a goal.
So
John
here's a comment here. Speaking specifically about like free agents, one-offs, says if it stops talents from being on TNA that want nothing to do with WWE, I'd say it hurts the industry as a whole. I see that logic. I get that logic. So what I kind of think of is like I don't think this partnership is going to keep like TNA from bringing in anybody for a TNA show that like WWE doesn't want to touch. So like for example, I'm going extreme on purpose. If TNA wanted to if they were doing a show in Baltimore and wanted to bring in Patrick Clark, right?
Correct.
Like, I don't think this partnership stops them from wanting to bring in Patrick Clark, even though WWE is not bringing him in.
I could see WWE being like, cool, bring him in. Don't have any NXT talent have contact with him on the show. Like, obviously, they're going to know each other from passing and his time there. But, like, maybe we don't have Patrick Clark versus Obafemi on Impact.
Yeah, right. Like, they won't interact, but they're not going to stop them from being on the show. If, say, like, Jungle Jack was all of a sudden no longer contracted to AEW, like, I don't think WWE's, or he's like in a negotiation period and you know he's kind of free agent for a minute. WWE's not signing Jack Perry, especially while CM Punk still works there.
Correct.
I don't think WWE is going to stop TNA from bringing in Jack Perry for a show.
Correct.
So yeah, I don't think. Now again, I don't know that for sure, but I don't envision that happening here. I don't. Same with kind of like the WWE ID program. Like, I don't think that program is going to hurt like the independent companies. It's just a kind of WWE branded affiliate, anything like that.
I mean, I'm looking at his next comment. I just don't like anything that gives WWE more fingers than other companies, especially after WWE ID. I
don't see where I'll leave it. I don't see where like a judgment on WWE ID is when it's something in its infancy, and if anything, it can kind of give a shine on people within the independent industry. That's how I interpret it. But
yeah, I think I interpret it the same way that you do, with obvious hope that maybe if they hit a home run and they sign one or two of those people, you know, down the road to NXT contracts and things like that. I'm not opposed to that. I get though the fear, because, you know, WWE has one time already in our lifetime controlled every piece of the professional wrestling landscape, and it wasn't great.
Right.
It really wasn't that good. So I can understand the fear and trepidation in that regard. But there is a full-fledged standalone number 2 company in professional wrestling that will always be there to push back against WWE now in AEW, because as much as I think that they have half-assed storylines and the way that they book things is convoluted and messy and not good, Tony still has an infinite amount of money, and his dad's not going to stop his dream, and that's fine and that's cool. But then you also have companies like Game Changer Wrestling, and you have companies like H2O and stuff like that tip into that hardcore and the wrestling like that
And
WWE is
also,
not involved in. So like, I think we're in a better spot than we were when WCW shut its doors.
well, and
You
also,
know, for the record too, there was never actually really a time where WWE controlled all of wrestling. Because, like, yeah, in 2001, okay, maybe there was like a 3-month period in 2001 or 2002, like in between, where, like, yeah, WCW went out of business, ECW was gone, WWE had all of them. By the middle of 2002, TNA exists, ROH exists, CZW was bouncing around, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla
sure.
wasn't too far away. There's never been a time where there was
There,
no alternative.
no, there was nothing really on TV that was anything that made even a ripple in like the water of American television wrestling. I think
That's fair, but I mean, like, to be honest, like, look, WWE, like, look, wrestling at this point in time is not in the popular mainstream. WWE is.
right. Yeah.
WWE is like a different level. And like, yeah, like us wrestling fans who are like really into all of pro wrestling, like having some kind of alternative, even if it's smaller. And like right now, yeah, we have one that's a little bit bigger than just small, but you know, it's still not the same level.
No, WWE is getting Travis Scott smoking weed on Monday Night Raw with Jey Uso. The AEW is getting the big boom Costco guy. Like
double chunk chocolate cookie.
Right, like we're not talking about the same thing.
I
but
mean,
I think to John's point, like I think it's a fair concern.
Correct.
But I also think the important thing to remember is this isn't Vince McMahon's WWE. Because like case in point, we talked about it already with Penta's debut. We have seen it with other superstars that have worked in other places. When the machine guns come in, when Penta comes in, you're talking about New Japan. Like you have Michael Cole dropping like the companies that Nakamura's worked on when he's doing commentary on SmackDown. Like this isn't a WWE that's run by somebody that doesn't care or think or talk about like that wrestling doesn't exist outside of Titan Towers. Like this is a WWE that acknowledges the greater wrestling world and is fine with that, because Triple H and Nick Khan and TKO, like they recognize that there's no threat to WWE. There's literally no threat to WWE. Like WWE and TKO, they are going to exist until they choose to not exist. Like that's what it is.
I do think that there is a corner of the internet that blames Triple H, not WWE, not Vince McMahon, or if they do blame WWE, they blame Triple H and WWE, not Vince McMahon, for killing the UK independent wrestling scene when they started NXT UK. And I think that might be a place where some people look and they say, wait a second, look what happened in the UK. Is this going to happen here? Are they going to kill the scene? And I think the difference is, though, I mean, at least as far as I know, I think the U.S. wrestling scene is a lot more established than the U.K. scene even was at the time when WWE did that.
I would also say that it probably didn't kill the international scene. COVID killed the international scene when it killed NXT UK, because
COVID
at the time,
a lot of things. Yeah,
at the time, NXT UK was grabbing, a ton of international talent to put on that show, but they were going to make that basically its own touring brand to where those companies were residing. Like, I think they were trying to make NXT UK almost like WWE International, and I just think COVID really shot that right in the foot.
Oh yeah, COVID hurt the Indies big time. John does it. He says he's been hurt too many times by WWE. Can't stand Triple H, so he's not naturally biased. There you go. That's fine. He said he apologized for derailing. By the way, if you're following us live, I know we're late at night here on the East Coast, but like
Correct.
wherever you are, if you're following along with us live, interact with us. Like that's why we're live.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the show would exist as it's existed forever. Just as three dudes talking to each other. So no, I encourage it, but we appreciate it, John.
Yeah, we actually
hit the subscribe button if you're on with us on Twitch or YouTube. Hit the subscribe button as well. We'll be here every Thursday night.
Yeah, it was part of the reason why, when we made the decision to go live, it was one of those things where, the three of us talking in circles about the same things over and over again and not getting an outside opinion on things definitely made it feel like our shows were stagnant at points. And, that's why we made the decision, and, obviously never apologize for opinions because, we're three guys that have opinions also. So, we love the interaction. But yeah, I get it. I get the fear because, it's blown up in our face countless times. So like, I understand the fear. I get it. But I also think that this is one of those things where I'm looking at it and they're going to let TNA run TNA, and they're going to let WWE's obviously going to run its stuff. And, I think that's the thing here. It's a deal where both of them will have access to the rosters, but TNA is going to be in charge of booking TNA. And, yeah, well, WWE will look up and go, we don't want Charlie Dempsey losing this week on Impact Wrestling. Sure. Like that might happen, but Nick Nemeth versus Joe Hendry for the TNA world title on Genesis, I don't think Triple H is picking up the phone going like, nope, I want Joe Hendry to win the title so he can walk into the Royal Rumble with the title. Like, I don't think he's getting involved in that. I don't personally, but that's just my own personal opinion on that. But either way, I'm excited for it. So, where we want to go next?
Joe, I don't know if we want to touch on your topic. If we want to touch on it, mine's not really a long form topic. It's a little bit of the news. I know Joe's yours probably isn't a super long topic either. Which
no, we could either way.
Two-man weave. Somebody figure it out.
Let's
Rock,
touch
paper,
on mine.
scissors.
We'll touch on mine. We'll touch on mine.
Rock, paper, scissors.
All right. 1, 2, 3, shoot.
No,
Did
you
we
both
throw
hold on. You both threw paper, and Joe threw it 45 minutes later than Jim. What are we doing?
I'll go.
I'm competing with a dog.
I have I have a number in my head, 1 through 5.
All
7.
Right.
Jim, you win.
Thank you. So, WWE broadcaster Corey Graves did not appear on NXT this week.
We're going there.
We are going here.
Hell yeah.
Fightful Select has more details on his WWE status. Graves, in a now deleted post, tweeted late Monday night about his frustration in WWE after being moved to NXT from the main roster. He said, "Imagine chasing your dream, then being told, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you decide, then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty fucking awesome at it. And then when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough to do your own job, just in case you've wondered where I've been." Fightful Select has mentioned that those close to him confirmed his genuine frustration. Graves resides in the Pittsburgh area, not Orlando, and he missed rehearsals for NXT. A source from higher management expressed surprise if Graves wasn't back on Raw or SmackDown by this spring, especially since he has been praised for his adaptability with his role and schedule. Per Fightful, Graves re-signed with WWE in January 2024. So the posts have now been deleted. Meltzer, Jonathan Coachman, Fightful, every wrestling journalist with a Twitter account and a half a brain has touched on this, voicing that their sources tell them that Corey Graves is legitimately upset. I'll let you guys give your thoughts on it. What you think this is all about? If this is a real stink or one of those working stinks. But Mike, why don't I start with you? Your thoughts on this Corey Graves WWE drama?
It stinks. No. The way I look at it is Corey obviously, had his in-ring career cut short due to concussions. That's been very clear, very adamant that was, the reason why things happened the way they did, and his in-ring career was cut short. Now, rumor and innuendo is that he has now technically been medically cleared for the last 2-ish years. But concussions are those things where I get not wanting to potentially put someone into harm, whether they're cleared or not, because it is a head injury. And I understand the fear and trepidation for that. But what I will say is I do believe he has a right to be upset about his, and I hate to say it like this because I don't see NXT as a demotion. I see NXT as its own standalone thing. I feel like it's one of those things, and I hate the thing that somebody used earlier today when I was scrolling through TikTok. They were like, "Well, how would you feel if you were Corey Graves and you were the starting quarterback of your team the entire year, and then you get to the Super Bowl and they're like, you know what, we're going to start someone else?" I don't think that that's the thing that I would use as the example. I think I would use almost like baseball, where it's like you got called up, you had a couple of good starts, you're working your way into the rotation, and then a starter who got hurt comes back and they got to pick someone to go down. I don't think it's an easy selection. I don't think it's a fun selection. I don't think anybody's really happy about it. Sure, you could have went to a 3-man booth. Sure, you could have moved, somebody else. Who's on SmackDown? Joe Tessitore, Wade Barrett?
Yeah, I believe so.
I like Wade Barrett, but you could have put Wade Barrett with
I would have kept
Booker
personally. I would have kept Graves on SmackDown with Tessitore and moved Barrett down. I don't like Barrett on commentary.
I don't love Wade Barrett on commentary, but he's not one of those where it's like I can't watch a show when he's on commentary. There are some guys that are like that for me, and it's like I can't watch the show. Right. I haven't reached that point with Wade Barrett, so I like Wade Barrett. I get it why he's upset. I understand, why he would be upset. I don't necessarily know that I love the fact that that's the way we went about voicing our frustration. I'm someone who, if I have a problem with somebody or something at work, I'm pretty quick to reach out to them and be like, hey, we got an issue. And then I kind of want to fix this and kind of do it behind closed doors, because putting it out there on social media now, while the tweet has now since been deleted, it's all kind of already been out there though. Like, I don't know why you deleted the tweet now. Yeah. Everybody saw it. People took a picture of it. If this is storyline and they're going to give Corey the opportunity to wrestle again, and this is how he becomes an in-ring wrestler again, I'm all for it. I think I went back and watched all the old NXTs that they have on Peacock and watched him win the tag titles, and I'm cool with it. Like, he was a good in-ring wrestler. His gimmick would be really good. And if it leads, and I know John just said it in the chat there, if it is a story / plan and it's Graves versus McAfee at WrestleMania, I'm okay with it. I've sat through some real shit WrestleMania matches. Corey Graves versus Pat McAfee is not one that I would be like, man, why am I watching this shit? But all in all, I think it's frustrating. I get why he's frustrated. I just don't know that I love the way that the frustration was vented. I feel like now if he comes out tomorrow and says, "Oh, I tried to have these conversations with Triple H and he blew me off," well, then we have another conversation to have, because then he did everything in his power and he then reached out to social media to get the reaction that he now has.
Yeah, Joe, your thoughts on the drama?
I, for one, can't wait till Sterling James Keenan shows up in the Impact Zone.
Jesus.
No, look, I don't think WWE is a company where this happens in like the way it happens with AEW with talents or New Japan or any other company. I don't think anyone working in AEW and in WWE goes on social media and voices displeasure for working for WWE and then still has a job in WWE after the fact. I'm 100% convinced that this is a storyline, that this is a work. It's a way to give Corey Graves something that he's always wanted, which is a match on the biggest stage of all. Look, in his wrestling days, he didn't make it onto the WWE main roster. He didn't make it to a WrestleMania moment. He didn't make it to any of that. He got onto NXT in the early days of NXT, before NXT was long before they were considered a third brand, back when they were straight up just developmental. He never got to live that portion of the dream. And now he's been medically cleared. I think you either said that was official or it was a rumor, but he's been medically cleared. And all you need is the right dance partner and the right reason to get him into a match and the right stage. You've got the right dance partner because you don't want to put him in there with someone where he's going to have some sort of wrestling clinic. You're going to put him in there with someone he's going to be able to tell a story with that the audience is going to get behind, that could generally do some pretty cool things in the ring. Pat McAfee checks that. He's not going to give you a 5-star match, but he's going to give you an entertaining match. And he can work with somebody at Corey's level as he's coming out of injury, I feel like. He's got the stage, WrestleMania 2 nights. Like you said, we've sat through worse. So you know what? You build this, you give it a good storyline. It's not even going to be one of the worst WrestleMania matches of that weekend, potentially. And on top of that, at the end of the day, it's his chance to live his dream, and I'm not going to be mad at that, Like I said, look, they even have y'all ever seen the movie All About Eve?
No.
So it's tale as old as time. It's the classic.
Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty and the Beast. No, it's not
I was
Beauty
going
and
to
the
say,
Beast.
that's Beauty and the Beast, my guy.
Wrong tale, wrong time. It's the classic story of the famous starlet who's at the top of her game. She's the head actress in all the movies, winning the awards, and she meets a young fan. It's the Mariah May, Toni Storm storyline. That was actually quite literally taken from the movie All About Eve. It's that storyline. The young up-and-comer takes over for the person that they were just like, oh my God, I'm just such a fan of yours. And they become the main star. That's what they're going to build here with Corey and Pat McAfee. Like you said, I've worked so hard for this all these years. You came in off your ESPN college football show, and now all of a sudden you've got my role. That's a storyline. That's a feud. That's better than half the shit Tony Khan knows how to put together in the last 3 years. Give me that at WrestleMania.
I will say the Pat McAfee show having however many million people that watch that on YouTube and everything probably trumps the ESPN college game day. But yes, I get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't sports. But my thing is, I really feel like there's no world where I think that this isn't a work. Now, granted, look, there could have been a world where the decision was for real made. Hey, Corey, Pat's coming back. Michael Cole and Pat, that's the team for Raw. We're going to try this with SmackDown. You want to take a few weeks off? You want to go home, spend some time at home over the holidays, a couple of months with Carmella and the kids and the family? I don't know how long Corey's not been around. I feel like he was at Survivor Series.
He was at New Year's Evil on the NXT call.
Okay. So he's not been around for a long time at this point.
Yeah,
this is the first week that he's missed, I think. Genuinely.
This literally started on Monday, and we're less than a month from Royal Rumble.
I don't know. I just feel like I'd be really surprised if this wasn't 100% a storyline, honestly. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I tweeted the last segment of Raw on USA was the CM Punk Seth Rollins promo, and when I watched it, I tweeted something out, and I think it's extremely accurate that the best storylines in wrestling are the ones where you don't know if it's what's real and what isn't. And the best part about that promo is they were firing live rounds on each other. I don't know if Phil Brooks and Colby Lopez have talked over their differences and are buddies backstage. Right. But when Seth Rollins and CM Punk are in front of a crowd and in front of cameras, those two hate each other. And that makes for tremendous television.
Dude,
tremendous television.
I'll take you back to, what was it, like 2005, 2006, when Matt Hardy got fired and then showed up in the crowd and was yelling, "Ring ROH, ROH." That was one of the coolest fucking moments in all of Monday Night Raw history. That was probably the coolest Matt Hardy's ever been. That feud, in that instant, you were like, no, but wait, he really got fired. This shit's real. Like, oh my God.
Why do you think the Outsiders and the NWO were so successful? Because you felt like two of Vince McMahon's WWF superstars literally were just hijacking episodes of Monday Nitro. Like, when you don't know if it's real or fake, that's what makes wrestling really good.
And the thing is, like, go ahead.
So here's the thing. Like, do I think that there is probably some legitimate frustration? Sure. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with the Fightful Select has mentioned that those close to him confirm his genuine frustration. Yeah, the dude probably is frustrated. He went from being on Monday Night Raw to NXT.
Yeah, he was also probably frustrated because he's also been medically cleared for 2 years. He's probably been trying to get himself a match on a show, and they keep telling him no. There's probably a lot that's frustrating him right now.
Right, and the reason he went from Raw/SmackDown to NXT is because this fucking ex-NFL punter who has a radio show every day and is on College Game Day while the football season's winding down so we can bring Pat back. Like, I'd be frustrated, right? Like, I would be. Now, granted, Corey's still getting paid the same, probably. He's still doing his job, but yeah, there's frustration there. So I want to hit John's comments here. He said, if it's legit, I don't blame Corey one bit. I personally do see it as a demotion. It's a different world with NXT versus Raw SmackDown. He said, if it is storyline or playing, get ready for Corey Graves versus McAfee at WrestleMania. Yeah, like, I 100% that the tweet, the deleted tweet, I got things to say on NXT. Oop, Corey's not going to be at NXT now. This stuff, like, maybe the tweet wasn't a work. Maybe, like, he sat and watched Raw for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it didn't go long. Penta's segment didn't go long and frustrate people. Let me get out in front of the wrestling journalists on that one. We'll talk about that debut in a second. But, like, the show went 2 hours and 40 minutes, and he heard Pat McAfee be Pat McAfee for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And maybe, he was just sitting there and he was frustrated and stewing and fired off a tweet. And then when he had a clearer head or he calmed down, took a breather, he deleted it. But as the tweet exists, once it's tweeted, especially the more famous you are, you can't untweet a tweet, even if you delete it. So maybe, like, he looked at that and him in the WWE and stuff, because maybe he was going to be in the Rumble this year anyway. Maybe this is just creative doing creative things once a situation comes up. Like, the beauty of wrestling right now, and I think especially in WWE, and I think Triple H has touched on it at times, is kind of, and I know Tim has said it on 3CT as well, if it happens in front of a camera, quote unquote a camera, so even social media, anything like that is in theory in front of a camera, anything that's out in public like that, there's at least a better than not chance that it's worked. Like, the WWE especially, it does a very good job now at utilizing social media to keep the conversation going. Like, it's probably one of my biggest gripes with AEW is, like, AEW does their TV and like they don't talk about other things. They don't promote their stuff on social media. Like they're just like, it's just like a Tony Khan tweet on a Wednesday afternoon, like tonight on AEW and Max tonight, watch tonight Dynamite tonight on TV tonight. But like they don't do the social media game as well as WWE does. Everything's a machine. Everything. So if you see it from a WWE personality, there's a chance, there's at least at worst a 50-50 shot that it's a work. And that's what I think what we're seeing here. And I don't know where the work began and where the shoot ended.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think we're in a spot where you are on the road to WrestleMania. And I think it is a situation because Corey Graves has reportedly been cleared for 2 years. Like he can go. Pat McAfee is a guy that you can plug and play. He is a freak. Like he really is. He's a freak. There's no reason Pat McAfee should be as good at wrestling and commentating as he is for being like an NFL punter. He shouldn't be, but he is. So let's make an opportunity to make a story. Doesn't have to be a 14, a 15 plus minute WrestleMania Mat Classic 7 stars if it's in Japan. It could be a 7.5 minute, 8.5 minute match, in the middle of night 1 of WrestleMania in Vegas. And it's going to be a cool moment because Pat McAfee's going to have a fucking marching band playing him out to the ring, and Corey Graves is going to have Carmella by his side. Like it's going to be a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And let's also talk. I've sat through Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler in a 14-minute match.
Thinking about that.
That was trash. I've sat through Kane versus who was it? Hold on, I had the results here. Big Show versus Cody Rhodes and Kane versus Randy Orton at 28. Those matches both sucked out loud. WrestleMania 29, where I froze my nuts off. There was a Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger World Heavyweight title match. That sucked. Brock
Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg at 20 was bad. Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon at 26 was bad. Okay. Like Undertaker, King Kong Bundy, bad.
I'm just saying, I've literally sat through some real stinkers.
Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin, bad.
Oh boy, that one sucked out loud. I'm sorry. Big Show, Kane, Kofi Kingston, and Santino Marella versus the Core.
Like if this match happens, if Corey Graves versus Pat McAfee happens, it will not be Pat McAfee's worst match at a WrestleMania. That happened against Vince McMahon. Okay.
It also won't be the worst match that ever happened between 2 announcers at a WrestleMania.
This is true.
Facts.
Because that Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler match was god awful.
That thing sucked out loud.
Kane versus the Great Khali at 23 was bad. Okay. Like, so there has been worse matches with much bigger superstars in WrestleMania history.
It's so bad. I mean, I almost want to say the no holds barred street fight between Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose wasn't that great either.
Wasn't good. I can tell you that. It wasn't friggin' good.
No. Some of these.
All right, here's the question, though. And I know we probably want to move on to the last topic, but I got a question that relates to Corey Graves. Let's say we're right, whichever one of us are guessing that this is a work, we're right. And he makes his in-ring return at WrestleMania, fights Pat McAfee. What then? Do you want to see Corey Graves, the full-time pro wrestler? Do you want to see Corey Graves go back to announcing on Raw or SmackDown? Do you want, what would you want to see post in-ring return for Corey Graves?
I mean, I think what I would want more than anything else is whatever their thought process is, whatever is good for the goose. Because at this point, if this is just a one-off where he's supposed to be fighting for his job, then you let it be a one-off and we move on from it. and he goes back behind the booth and he becomes a great commentator, and he's sitting behind there with Cole, and maybe you put him on Raw so him and McAfee dig at each other. I don't know. I think inevitably, if he is to go back to being a full-time in-ring wrestler, I don't hate it. I'm not saying I'm doing cartwheels and uber excited for what's next, but I think he's a fine enough in-ring wrestler. I think with enough build, he could have good matches with guys that are on the SmackDown roster, but like title picture, no, probably not. At least not right away. I think I need to see him and figure out exactly what's going on before any of that other stuff transpires. I need to see him have the match with McAfee, make sure he gets out of it without having a concussion. I got to make sure that he's healthy in that regard. I mean, at this point, if we're hoping that anyone kind of gets medically cleared and comes back to have a match and, then doesn't become a commentator and goes back to being a full-time wrestler, I think I'm rooting more for Wade Barrett to be that guy than Corey Graves. No offense to Graves, but I love me some bad news Barrett. So, I mean, but either way.
For me, I think it just depends on how how he feels, how he trains, like how his body holds up to because being cleared and wanting to go through that are two different things. If this is just him being able to have a WrestleMania moment and wrestle a final match that he didn't think he was going to get to have, cool, I'm fine with it being a one-off. But if he is healthy, I mean, we've seen it with Bryan Danielson, we've seen it with Edge, we've seen it with Christian, we've seen guys quote unquote come back from the dead because of modern science. And while at least right now we still have modern science and modern medicine, let's continue to let those things work. And if he's come back and he's healthy and he's fine and he wants to wrestle, let the wrestler wrestle. If he wants to do one final match, I'm good with that too.
Yeah, I don't is this him wanting to do one final match to wrestle in front of his kids and let them see him on the biggest stage? Then cool. Yeah. If this is, I want to see if I can go, and does the training and looks like he's ready to go and looks like he's ready to be a part of the everyday roster and he wants to give it the go, then let's see what happens. I think the match against McAfee, if it does happen though, I think that's the measuring stick. Let's see if he gets to it healthy before we worry about where the next ducks in a row go.
I will say, and just one last thing to close it out, I think that if this is a storyline, and if you want to maybe have a cool moment, he should show up at Genesis this weekend. He should show up in TNA at Genesis with a mic, basically being like, fuck Triple H, fuck WWE, fuck them for demoting me, fuck them for trying to put me on NXT fucking T. I'm not doing what they want me to do. I'm going to go where I want to go. And tonight, that's right here in the Impact Zone. I don't know where the fuck they are. Everywhere they go is the Impact Zone.
I'll look and see where they're at this weekend. I don't know.
I think that's a great idea, Joe. I think that's a fantastic idea. Because it kind of presents that whatever. Now, granted, it would have actually been smarter for if you do this, for WWE to not announce the partnership.
True.
Curtis Colwell Center in beautiful Garland, Texas.
Beautiful this time of year. But yeah, no, I'm on board on that.
You guys want to do Penta? Yeah, there we go. Real quick, real simple, real dirty. Not real dirty. Maybe real dirty.
What did he say?
Penta finally debuted in WWE, debuted on Raw, on Netflix. It felt like a big deal. The match was great. The merchandise was great. Penta's here. What next? That's my favorite question. What next? Where do you see, let's call it the next 3 months for Penta. This is a big, busy season. Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania. They've presented Penta in a big enough way where you got to assume he's going to be part of all 3 of those things in some capacity. So, where do you think they're going to do with Penta, or where do you think he's going to go? And maybe what would you like to see them do with Penta if you don't think it's exactly what they're going to do? And Jim, let's start with you.
Well, here's the wild thing because of who you have as your Intercontinental Champion. But I think that a realistic target, 3 months from now, 3 months from now, we're at WrestleMania weekend, right? Like, so, like, I don't think it is out of the realm of possibility, especially that you are going to be like on kind of the southwestern corner of the United States, and you have a worldwide audience. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that WrestleMania is Penta versus Braun Breaker, and you have a new Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania. I'm very curious to see how much, like, if Penta is going to become a weekly TV star right out of the gate, or if it's going to be, once a month. Like, are we going to play out and see like what he does in the Rumble, if he gets involved in the elimination? Would he be cool in the chamber? Yeah, but like I don't know if like fast tracking him to like a match that is always one of the spots for a world title is what you want to do in month 2. But I for me, I realistically think is like this debut was as good and felt as like big and perfect as I've seen one in a while. Like, it felt like a huge deal with him showing up, and obviously San Jose, a tremendous place to do it. One of the advantages to now broadcasting live at the same time all around the world is when he gets on the mic and he speaks Spanish, you're speaking to an audience, a worldwide audience, by doing that. And Netflix, I don't know if they did it live, but I saw at least on the playback, it translated to English as it was live, or as it aired, like, so that you were able, that people who don't speak Spanish, like myself, are able to know what he's saying in a promo. But like for the people that do speak Spanish, they know what he's saying. So like it like that audience in and of itself, because of WWE's new TV deal, is huge. So yeah, I think right away he became a worldwide star on night 1. Chad Gable was the perfect dance partner for that match. There's really no mistake. Like, there's no coincidence that when you need somebody to have a great match or a great debut, you put them in with Chad Gable. So yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that I could see Penta either on WrestleMania night, one of the nights, or even the Raw after Mania, that he becomes the Intercontinental Champion.
You know what's crazy? I just put on Netflix because I was just like, hey, I'm sitting here in my living room now. Let me put on something just to like watch, right?
Not the one to watch.
I was gonna, huh?
Not the one to watch.
No, I'm not on Max the one to watch. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're lucky I don't have on the Traders right now. No, so I went on Netflix. I was gonna put on this past episode of Raw. The thumbnail, the image. So the image for last week's episode of Raw is Punk versus Rollins. It's Punk holding Rollins, ready for go to sleep. Okay, so tells you what they put as the image, like what they're selling. It's the big deal of the show. The image for the January 13th Raw is Penta. Right there. They're just like, hey, pay attention to this man.
Yep.
Mike, where do you want to see Penta going? What's your opinion on this?
Well, I think Jim has the right idea. I think the Intercontinental title is the spot for him. Part of me is going back and forth on where I think the men's Elimination Chamber is actually going to be this year. Like, is it the number 1 contender spot?
When you log on to WWE Shop, Penta is the very first thing you see. By the
Yeah,
way,
they're making a big deal out of him, even if it's just because he's got the cool look. What was it? Bronson Reed on Twitter called him La Parka looking ass or something like that.
yeah, 2 t-shirts, a sweatshirt, and a mask. Right up.
I like the sweatshirt, for the record.
Of course you do, because you are always cold.
I'm
Also,
the got no Iron Man.
I'm going to say a quick thing about AEW. Let's not make it an AEW thing. How the fuck did they never make Penta masks? All right, moving on.
I mean, the same reason why they never made Ray Phoenix masks, but I digress.
Your fucking merchandise company that became a wrestling company. How the fuck do you screw that up? Anyway.
Yeah, but they gave out paper bags for Kip Sabian.
They yes, they did.
Fucking super bad. So I think, and I would love for the Elimination Chamber this year to be for the Intercontinental title, and him win the Elimination Chamber and win the Intercontinental title in there. Because what I hope for his WrestleMania match, and maybe this is me just maybe trying to put something out there, Pentagon versus Andrade in a one-on-one match.
With the IC title on the line, that'd be sick.
Yeah. Like, fire me up, boys.
Well,
like, Andrade could beat Breaker randomly on an episode of Raw, win the title, be a heel, be the chicken shit heel, and have face Penta. And if you're telling me, and I'm gonna book this even 6 months in advance, I'm gonna go way down the road here. Give me like Penta versus Andrade as a main event match on SummerSlam, mask versus hair. Title versus mask. Like, say he doesn't win the title from Andrade the first time at Mania. Say Andrade screws him out of the match and wins, and then he's chasing Andrade for the next couple months, and he finally gets it, and Andrade says, okay, you want me, that's fine, but you got to put your mask on the line. And maybe...
what if WWE took a page out of WCW back in the day?
Chill out, Rey Mysterio.
What if they gave us a legit lucha division? They have a lot of pieces at this point. They have Andrade. They have Penta. You've got Mysterio. You've got Ray hanging around. You've got Dragon Lee. You've got Santos Escobar. I haven't seen him in forever, but he's around. He's floating around somewhere.
You have all of Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have a decent little. You can build. I mean, you can throw a mask on somebody and have Volano 7. Like you can build a lucha division right now, and I think it'd be kind of interesting. I think it'd be something that they haven't done before in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could. Unfortunately, though, they've brought back and killed and brought back the Cruiserweight title more times than not. So I don't know that you create a new title for the Lucha division.
It's called the Speed title.
God, please no.
I'd rather just see them feature Penta and feature, Ray Phoenix when he gets there, and and feature guys so that they just you tell us that they're important, so that when they have a match for the Intercontinental title or the US title, that it feels like they have a legit chance. Because like randomly at times when fucking Sin Cara would get an Intercontinental title match, you're like, well, here's fucking 7 minutes I can go take a shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's unfortunate that it went that way, but it's like after you saw him jump on the trampoline over the top rope, I don't need to see this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, so just make sure you tell me they're important.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree with that either. I think like here's the thing, because Ray's inevitably coming. Ray Phoenix is inevitably going to be there, and I think once Ray Phoenix gets there, I think that's when you get the Lucha Bros versus the Usos and the Tongans and all that. So if Penta's going to have an ability for the next month or 2 or 3 before Ray Phoenix gets there to make a statement, to make himself super valuable, he has to do it right now. Because unfortunately, if he duds out, as soon as Ray Phoenix is there, they're a tag team.
Do we know how long before we'll actually like Ray is a free man?
Well, they pulled all of his merchandise off of the AEW website, so there's speculation that it's sooner rather than later. But supposedly, Tony added months to his contract from when he was hurt to pull the Vince McMahon card. But I
That's
don't.
what I thought too.
Nobody knows how many months he's added. Nobody knows any of the expiration dates.
Because it would be interesting. I would not be against the world where we get Penta feuding with Jey Uso and get a one-on-one match between them. Maybe the IC title's involved. I mean, certainly Jey fits in that story. And that eventually leads to Jimmy and Jay, and Penta's brother shows up to even the odds. And then, later in the year, September, October, you can main event a pay-per-view with the Lucha Brothers versus the Usos. That could 100% be your top drawing, or Saturday night's main event, or whatever. Like, you can make that into something extremely special. Easily two of the best tag teams in the world right there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, to grab onto something Mike had said before, the whole Elimination Chamber thing, if you give me an IC title Elimination Chamber that has Braun Breaker, let's throw Sheamus in there, let's throw Ludwig Kaiser in there, Penta, give me Jey Uso, and that's 5 right there. You add one more person, that's a hell of a fucking Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And, you're telling me Braun Breaker is going to spear someone through one of the glass doors. You're telling me that... glass. You're telling me that, Penta's going to...
Lexon glass.
If Penta's going to hit the fucking, jump on his back and hit the Canadian Destroyer on fucking, the 51st State Destroyer, on the fucking grate right there, give me that. Let me have that. I honestly want nothing more than an IC Elimination Chamber with those people in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that, and WWE told us big deal. He's a big deal. And yeah, when you start to add more of the pieces that make Penta more exciting, it's gonna make people care about Ray Phoenix. It's like the more that they get treated like the stars they are, the better.
Were you expecting Penta to come in with so much pomp and circumstance?
Yes.
I think it's a little bit more than I thought.
The minute they started doing the vignettes and stuff, and the fact that on the first Raw on Netflix, they revealed his face with Penta written across the graphic. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they want him to be a big deal.
Because here's the deal. I understand that Cody and Punk are two guys that came over from AEW, right? But CM Punk returning to WWE wasn't even big because he came from AEW. It was big because of the way he left WWE.
Yeah.
And Cody coming to WWE, it was big for the business because he's one of the guys that started AEW. But he was also there before, and his dad was there, and his dad never won a WWE title. So it's Penta coming over and being the first, and I know he's not a quote AEW guy, but the American wrestling audience knows him more because he was on AEW than probably any other company.
Yeah, I consider him an AEW guy. He was there from the beginning, and I didn't watch TNA when he was the champion there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
I didn't watch Lucha Underground. So the first time I heard of Penta, I heard of him in TNA. I heard he was there. I heard of him in Lucha Underground because I was aware that existed, but I never sat down and watched him until he showed up in AEW.
No. So like my introduction to him was from AEW. So him being the first quote unquote AEW guy to come to WWE, it was important for the WWE to make it feel like a big deal. Because you know what that does? That tells anybody in the AEW locker room that may be unhappy that like, oh, like, well, we hear that like WWE hates us, but like maybe they just don't like the guys running our program. Like maybe they're going to respect us as workers. So if, you know, Wardlow finally gets the shits of being MJF's lackey, hey, come over here. We like big wrestler guys. You know, if Britt Baker, you know, gets tired of being second fiddle to Mercedes Moné and Tony Storm and Mariah May, well, hey, we have a big women's division with what we think are the best women's wrestlers in the world. We're going to be in Pittsburgh in 2 months. Come hang out. Like this one was very important for WWE to nail, and they did.
Yeah.
Not to tread off the Penta situation because that is a huge story. I just opened the artist formerly known as Twitter. Okay,
That's always fun.
I'm gonna read this tweet, and then I'm gonna read the response, and I want your guys' opinion, and then we can get the wrestlers of the week.
Okay.
Dear at Matt Hardy Brand,
It's already a bad one.
heard your interview with Chris Van Vliet.
Okay.
If you have something to say to us, just tell at This Is TNA higher ups to smarten up. Otherwise, stay in your lane and know your role as number 2. XO, the most decorated tag team of all time, Team 3D, TNA Hall of Fame. So this was Matt Hardy's response. Well, good evening at Bully Ray 5150. Thank you for listening. We would love to have another match or matches with you and at Testify Devon. I'm sure at This Is TNA and at WWE would be cool with it since they're officially partners now. Otherwise, I'll trend lightly since we're undisputedly number 1, the most popular tag team of all time, number 2, the most influential tag team of all time, and by the time we hang them up, we will be the most decorated tag team of all time. Hell, I'll take 2 out of 3. Jeff and I are fine staying in our lane because it's led to a destination that no tag team has ever reached. Have a good night. So I guess in the interview with Chris Van Vliet, I guess Matt Hardy says something about them being the best tag team in the world of all time. And obviously the Dudleys have now come out and said it. In the year of our Lord and Savior, 2025, Hardys versus Dudleys one last time. Yay or nay?
I'm not mad if it happens. I'm not going out of my way to watch it.
Yeah, like first instinct, I'm like, ooh, leave the
if it
memories
happens on,
alone.
Okay, so if it happens on Slammiversary,
Fine with it.
If I was gonna if I was gonna watch Slammiversary anyway, it happens to be a Saturday. You and I are both off. You're like, hey, want to come over and let's order Slammiversary, get some food. I'm like, sure, fuck it, why not?
mm-hmm.
I'm not ignoring that match because it's on. But
it's not going to be the match. It's not going to be the match to make you buy the show. But if it's on the show, you'll watch it.
Exactly.
Right,
it's not the match that's going to sell me. I'm not going to be like, wow, I'm really on the fence about Slammiversary. Oh, shit, they announced the Hardys versus the Dudleys in a quickest person to get through a table loses match.
Full Metal Mayhem.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm in. You've sold me. But if that's announced on a show and we were going to watch the show anyway, sure. I'm not mad that that's happening. That could be entertaining. Like,
can't wait for that
Bully
match
Ray
to happen.
looks okay.
Can't wait for that match to happen on Backlash. Insert whatever country they're going to this year.
Mexico, I think.
Can't wait.
I mean, I'll say this. I feel like, first of all, I don't think that either one of them is actually like the Usos exist. You know what I mean? Like there's other greatest teams of all time that could be part of that conversation. I know we've done that, but I don't know. Like, yeah, like I wouldn't hate it. I'm not going out of my way to watch it. But all of that said, whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot worse.
Don't put it on WrestleMania. Don't put it on SummerSlam. Put it on a big TNA show. Fine with it. If you want to sneak it into, the No Mercy. If you really want to try and sneak it into a WWE show, I'd be okay with it. As long as like an off month pay-per-view. If you want to throw it on a Saturday night's main event, cool. Keep it off major pay-per-views in WWE. I'm fine with it. I'm not gonna go out of my way to see it, but I'm not like, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's all I had.
I got a question for you guys. This will be a real quick round question, and then we can do Wrestlers of the Week. I noticed at my job at least 3 people that I work with who know that I'm a wrestling fan, know that I do a wrestling podcast. Like it's one of the personality traits they know about me. Who have come up to me in the last 2 weeks and been like, yo, since Raw's on Netflix now, I started watching it again. Hadn't watched wrestling in years. Like sort of low-key knew some of the guys that are around. Remember CM Punk. Remember, Rey Mysterio, like that. But haven't watched wrestling regularly in years. Who now were like, oh, it's on Raw. I'm going to check it out. And have enjoyed it so far the last 2 weeks. Was wondering, have you guys had any similar interactions with anybody?
I have not, and it's probably a little bit more because like I work at home. I work from home. I spend basically every day in a team video with just my immediate team members, and they none of them are wrestling fans. I have a Teams chat of wrestling fans. So they're I don't have any real interaction with people that were casually out of the wrestling realm.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, I have 1 or 2 guys that were like, "Oh yeah, I used to watch that back in the '90s or whatever," and they were like, "Oh, I'll check it out." There's one guy that is still an active wrestling fan who listens to our show from time to time, Brian. We talk about it all the time, so it's just a normal interaction with him. But otherwise, no, I haven't really had anybody that's talking about it as much. But I mean, I think that's also because I don't know how many of them are actually wrestling fans in the past.
Fair. Yeah, no, it's I can name at least 3 people that I've had that interaction with, and it's not just at work, but even just friends. My old boxing trainer Nico was like, "Yo, it's on Raw. That shit was good," and I was like, "Yeah, that shit was good." It's interesting because I think it's having the effect that they were hoping when they brought it onto Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Wrestlers of the Week. Let's do it. I want to
Jim,
go get my RVD on.
Jim, you're currently leading the Fantasy Wrestling League. Feel free to start us off this week.
Boom. Give me my girl who helped me get into that lead, Lyra Valkyria, your new women's Intercontinental Champion.
You actually said her last name right.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty good at it as of late. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Joseph?
I'm going to take the man that inspired my topic this week with his good old Raw debut. Give me the Penta L0. I don't do Duolingo often enough, so I don't know the Spanish.
Zero Miedo?
That one.
I also think it's very smart. While commentators may add his full name to the WWE audience, he's Penta.
He's Penta.
Everybody
Sammy Five Sides.
Everybody can say the dumbest American. Well, maybe not. Most of the dumbest Americans can say Penta.
Listen, I love Penta. Penta's a great person. Penta's the greatest Penta we've ever pented. We need more Pentas.
He's in Penta trouble.
We're annexing Penta. Penta's going to be our 57th state.
Jesus Christ! Please make him stop.
Yeah, well, you give your first one.
I'll take the new MLW World Champion Matt Riddle.
Oh shit! I did see that this past week.
Yeah, he beat Kojima.
That's a thing. I forgot that was a thing.
It's good to know you can still win titles after you fucked up your WWE career.
Looking at you, Alberto Del Rio.
I was gonna say, fucking Patrick Clark is doing indie spots in and around Baltimore.
That bothers me, but never mind.
What the thing that's even crazier about it is it's not like it's at like, you know, Jim's Garage Wrestling. It's at fucking MCW, which is
I was gonna say it's where he trained, right?
it's like one of the bigger like indie companies in that area. It's fucking gross. You know what? We have I can guarantee you more wrestling media / podcasts have talked about this guy than ever before. Corey Graves.
It's a good one.
I like it.
Joseph.
Give me the man who won the Raw main event, Mr. Damian Priest, who hopefully will now never wrestle Finn Balor ever again.
God, please let this be the end.
I really hope Finn and JD just go over to SmackDown and let that be a thing.
I will take the gentleman who retained the AEW world title on Maximum Carnage night number 1. I will take Jon Moxley.
That was on Max, the one to watch, right?
Yes.
Maximum Carnage on Max, the one to watch. Joe, plug your Joe Movie podcast.
It's the Joe Movie podcast. Joe Movie is one word. Podcast is also one word, but together they are not one word. We recently did an episode. I think it was the last one I plugged also. We're going to do our top 10 movies coming up soon. By the way, David Lynch passed away today. That was really sad. If you've ever seen any of his movies, Mulholland Drive, Twin Peaks, any familiarity you have with him, it's kind of sad that he's gone. He was the unique one. So, Vayos con Dios.
Rips, because I don't know who that is.
I've heard of him. Don't think I've ever seen any of his movies. But you can follow me at Big Jim Sports. You can follow along with the Huddle Up podcast. All of these are in my link tree on my Twitter and on my Blue Sky. But Huddle Up podcast, we only have a couple more weeks in our live season. This coming Tuesday is either going to be a really fun show or it's going to be a really sad show for me, at least half of it. So hopefully it's fun and I get to be insufferable. I'll probably be insufferable either way, but so tune in for that.
When is Notre Dame playing?
Monday night.
And is the Hunchback at quarterback?
No, he separated his hump.
Shit.
But 3 Count Thursday, 3CT. We had our live show this week. Again, I apologize. It was hosted by intern Mark. If you want to listen to a train wreck in real time, that's in your podcast feed right now. We had our Tuesday show, a little bit back to normal there as I took the realm. So we'll be back live on that next week. And then, I've done some spot stuff here with Student of the Game podcast. Discussions with a Nobody will eventually come back probably after the football season when I can finally breathe again. But yeah, everything's on my link tree.
You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. You can follow the show at Take the Number 3 Wrestling. Rip to WWE Hall of Famer Bob Uecker, who passed away.
Oh, fucking hell. That was so sad.
That one sucked.
He was still alive?
90.
Yeah. He was still calling baseball games this year.
Yeah, he called baseball games.
He outlived Mr. Belvedere, so that's impressive. I'm pretty sure that guy died forever ago.
So it's gonna be weird watching Brewers games this year on my MLB package because he was one of the reasons why I watched Brewers games to listen to do commentary. So that sucks. Rip Uke.
And repeats of Mr. Belvedere.
And that.
I don't watch Mr. Belvedere if it was fucking live. Rip City Shooters. For Jim, for Joe, for Mr. Belvedere, I am Mike. We will see you next week right here on the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast.